Well, hello there, everyone. We're going to be taking a look at a computer that I did about 2 years ago, and I'm just, decided now to finally sit down and work on it, which is, happy 2025, everybody. So let's get to it. Well, here's another Dell for the channel. This is a Dell XPS 400, and this is a system that I'm going to be rebuilding. I have a identical Dimension 9100 as well, and the two are going to be combined to make one nice XPS system. They're both basically identical, but one says XPS and one says Dimension. I think the XPS is kind of cooler. Windows XP, of course. These were kind of interesting because these were born in an era that a special form factor started coming around, and that was the BTX, the back assward of ATX. It was like mirrored and upside down. It put the processor directly at the intake of the case and blew across it, which was pretty cool. This was how they were able to cool those hot Prescott processors back then. They thought that was a good idea, and they went with it for a little while. Didn't last too long, though. I think Gateway was the other one that used this as well. I don't remember if HP did. You got these big tower coolers here for all that Pressler heat. Pressler and Prescott heat. These things are pretty massive. Even today, these would probably do pretty good. And of course, I got a blown capacitor right there, and I'll take care of that a little bit later on. And RAM hidden back here. Of course, this one I've given the system good cleanup. It cleans up pretty good, shines up pretty good like a penny, and just gotta blow it out a little bit here and there. We'll get to that video card a little bit later, and the modem's in there just because it came with it. Everything's all nicely tucked away, just the way it was supposed to be meant by the Dell gods. And we got the Pentium D in here, the 820, 2.8 gigahertz. Pretty much the run-of-the-mill specs for the XPS. So, when you got bad capacitors like this, just push them down like a pimple. Just push them in. It'll be fine. And just seal them up with some super glue. And, yeah. It works. It saves you a lot of hassle. Yeah, repaired. New capacitors installed. Yeah, but don't worry, guys. I pulled the other motherboard out of that case, and its capacitors are intact. So, and clearly a different brand, so Dell obviously knew those were crap and changed them at some point to Rubicons, which aren't exactly the most well-proven capacitors either, sadly. But got a spare motherboard, so we'll just use the other one until it burns out. 512 megabytes of PC2 4200. Just the crap that Dell put in these systems. So here we got the two processors, and the 3.4 is what's going to be going in the system. The 2.8 is what came out of it. And the funny thing is that the 3.4 was in the Dimension and not the XPS. You would think the XPS would get the higher performance since it's supposed to be extreme performance system, but no. 80 gigabyte versus a 250 gigabyte. Once again, the Dimension had higher specs, which is kind of funny. Yeah, we're just going to throw us 1 terabyte in there and call it good. I think I put both of these in there, honestly. I think. Yep. There they are. I recorded this about a year and a half, a year and a half ago, so I'm having to watch this with you guys. I was going to throw this card in the system, this Quadro FX 4600, but then I was reminded that I have a better card. That's exactly what would have been in the system. That's this guy right here, the Quadro FX 4500, and this has the extended end on it there, the bracket that holds it in there to keep it from sagging, something that they should still do today. And this is the card that Dell card, this is what would have come in the system, and probably did, because I got this off of eBay, so that's probably where they pulled it out of. So here we are in the BIOS, and we got the 3.4 gigahertz there. Looks like we got this thing up to 3 gig of RAM, and we're just going to do the Dell recovery and let her go. Let it chew on this for a while. I'm going to give it the whole college try here of a complete restoration and see where we're at from the way the system came from the factory versus where we're going to take it. So a little bit later in the video we're going to be doing some benchmarks, because that's just the way we do it in this channel. Not like I'm going to go through a whole lot of processes of benchmarking and graphing and things like that, but we'll see the numbers and all this fun stuff. And here's all this Dell recovery stuff. Hey, look at this. Service tags and everything else, and XP. Sometimes just doing a factory recovery is nice. I don't know why I did a check disk right there. That's Microsoft things for you. Even back then, Microsoft did some weird things. So I'm just going to show this process for anyone who cares, just to see what the recovery process was like on OEMs back in the day. Usually had a recovery partition on the hard drive, which thankfully this one didn't get removed, so that's good. And all that crap you don't ever read. No, we don't want to protect my computer right now. What's your computer name? Well, and it's kind of funny because this Dell thing, it seems like this is customized, because you do the regular XP installation, it doesn't have this. But I don't exactly remember what version of XP this is either. It could be the initial one. And it's been so long since I've seen the initial one that I don't know. Maybe it had this stuff. I don't know. But this is not the normal setup for XP that I'm used to. So I just figure it's because it's customized for Dell. And all this extra bullshit here that, they just throw on there because. And oh yeah, thank you. All those choices for high-speed internet and dial-up. Even 2005, yes, they still had dial-up. Scary to think of that. That was only 10 years ago. No, that was 20 years ago. Dang, this computer's 20 years old already? Holy moly. Yeah, that was fast. Yeah, I sped it up here a little bit because, we'll get past all this garbage quickly. And this initial setup seemed to take an awful long time to get past. I don't know what the deal was, but there's our background. And that's the cool. I like the XPS background. This is basically what the Dell used to be prior to Alienware. The XPSs, this is supposed to be, the extra performance, whatever the XPS stood for, extreme performance system, I think. But once they bought Alienware, the XPS kind of faded into a dim memory. It looks like we've got, okay, it's version 2002, Media Center Edition. Yeah, I forgot about that too. Which I like. There's actually a good reason I'm going to put Media Center on this. Use the Media Center features, I should say. Because my intention was also to put a tuner card in this. But that didn't work out, so I never did record it. Or I didn't put it in there, one of the two. I can't remember if the card didn't work, or I don't know. There's something about that card. I don't think it's HDTV, or there's something weird about it that I don't know. At some point I'll look at that again. But as you can see, we're starting out with the lowest common denominator video card, which was the X300, ATI X300, which was a terrible card. The hyper memory crap. It had just like 64 meg of RAM on the card, and then shared the RAM, cached the video stuff into the system RAM, and blah blah blah. Those were terrible, crappy cards. I'm so glad we are past that crap. We're way past that era of stupidity. But we're going to start the system off with that card, and then we're going to upgrade it to the NVIDIA 7300 Lame Edition, LE Lame Edition, which actually does have a true 128 meg of RAM, even though it also does the same hyper RAM cache to system RAM thing for extra video memory, blah blah blah. It was a terrible idea, but we'll see a little bit later in the video. And we got the media center working here, so we're good to go. This is all the crap that the system originally came with here. As you can see, at 9150, and yeah, at the time on this was actually pretty close. That's was pretty interesting to see. So now we're back home. We're doing some benchmarks here, and this is with the card, the ATI X300 here. We're running Unreal Tournament, just the basic Unreal Tournament, not the fancy one, because we don't want to go overly stressing the system. We're running at about 75 frames a second here. That's not too bad. I think that this was also the limitation of the refresh rate too. I think, looking at it there, and that's why we got some extra flicker on the big old monitor here. But you can see at the top left hand corner of the monitor there, we're running about 75 frames per second there, and it's pretty consistent. This game is not entirely that taxing on a video card of this era, at least it shouldn't be. And this amount of RAM basically makes this card equal to a Rage 128-ish level of performance. Maybe a Rage Pro, Rage Fury, not the max, but or the initial Radeon. The very first Radeon card. This is maybe even more close to that one. Yeah, we're still running pretty good here. I kind of remember, though, that seemed like some of the stuff I tried with this card either wouldn't load or it was really very glitchy because it had to keep refilling the RAM on the video card from the system RAM back and forth. It was really glitchy. This game's not having a problem at all. So now it's time to upgrade the video card here, so we're going to be putting that NVIDIA Lame Edition 7300 in here. And of course I sped that up for the viewer pleasure once again here. Wish you could work this fast, right? Of course I couldn't. Those dang locks. Those dang locks in those PCIe cards, I tell you what. But there it is right there. A very terrible card. But you know what? If it works, so it may be good for, it's good for testing, good for a server maybe, I don't know. But this one, it's less terrible, but still terrible. The Lame Edition. And this one, the bracket actually holds it, funny enough. Another thing that computer companies should still do is have those brackets to hold these big, heavy GPUs, especially for shipping. It's such a simple thing. And this was fun thing it was greeted with here is this little window. I couldn't extend it, couldn't make it bigger. It was just that size. You know? The shit that Microsoft does. Even back then, stupid stuff. Here's an installation wizard. Oh, we can't actually do anything with it because we can't see the screen. Yeah, and you know, the iPhone just doesn't really like computer screens. I gotta say, you know, that iPhone it really struggles. You know, here we go. We finally got past that nonsense and got the NVIDIA drivers going here. So, you know, give it a reboot and all that fun stuff. And we'll try Unreal Tournament again. And you'll see that the frame rate's definitely gone up a lot more. We're now running at 100 frames a second. And I think also that it's been a year and a half since I recorded this, or even going on 2 years now, sadly. I was probably looking at the frame rate there. It's probably hitting the refresh limit, because I also think that the X300 did not have as high of capability of refresh rates that the NVIDIA card did, because this monitor can handle, I think, 140, 20, 40. It's like really insane. That's why I use it. But yeah, so we're hitting the refresh frame rate limiter here, I think. But I mean, that's a nice steady 100 frames a second all the time, you know. And the camera seems to like that hertz a little bit better than it did with that driver installation. It's still, you know, yeah, I kill everybody. That's what I do. But you know, it's it's a pretty decent thing, and I could tell you that it surprised me how well this card actually performed. The X300 was as terrible as I thought it was going to be. I wouldn't mind trying the X1050 just for S's and G's, but it's probably be equal to this one. That stupid hyper memory stuff. So here's 3D Mark 05 or 06. I think it's 05. I can't see it on the screen there. It's so blurry. But as you can see, we're doing 1 frame a second if we're lucky here. And the other video card, the X300, wouldn't even run that benchmark. It was so bad. As you can see, this has a true 128 meg RAM versus a 64 meg that the other one had. Yeah, I'm just pushing buttons here at this point just to see what would happen, if it would actually enable that or not. No, I don't need to restart. So you can see we got some clock settings here we can play with. 648. That's 450. And at this point, I'm just playing with the settings here to see if there's anything interesting or not that can be done with this card. This is a fun little app to have, Riva Tuner. Let's check out the clock speeds here. It's got 450 and 648, so, and it can be overclocked. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just see what happens when we push that slider all the way. Can it take it? Can it take the overclock? Find out in a minute. No, failed to pass that test. Let's try it again here. Well, it passed that test, so let's just go ahead and let's find where it breaks here. Why not? That's how you do this stuff. Not that it's going to make a whole lot of difference here. Yeah, and that test is kind of BS anyway. You run that test, you think your video card's good, then you get artifacts in the game. That's always fun. But at least it plays and not locks up, so it's like right on the edge of crashing, It's not doing 3D Mark 2001 too bad. This would be an okay system for that era of games. And so now's the time to put the big kahua in here, the Quadro FX 4500. Let's just see what a real video card can do. It's as if that bracket was made to hold that card, designed intentionally for that card. And again, there we go. We got 512 meg of DDR3 this time. That's a big step of an improvement. 256-bit RAM versus 64. That's also a huge step up. And the clock speeds, we got a heck of a lot higher speed on the clock for the RAM there. Anyway, we're just going to go all guns out here. We're not going to waste your time and try it at this speed and that speed and compare the bumps. So we're just going to go all the way on this. Just go right to the moon. See what it can really do. And there's that artifact thing I was talking about. But hey, look, it's running. It gives us a score. And that's all I care about. Now, if this was a Core 2 or something like that, it probably would crash because it would be feeding the video card so much data that it probably would crash the card at this clock speed. But you wouldn't know until we find out. Now I can actually play this game, or this part of the demo. Look at that, we're up to 11 frames a second. That's from 1 frame a second to 11. That's quite a few times of a multiplier there of performance increase. Going from the lame edition to a full-blown, real video card. There was a difference. So, I haven't turned that computer on for about, soon after I shot all that video footage. So, I got an ATI All-in Wonder. Maybe it's just a TV Wonder. PCI Express card to put in it with all the fancy stuff exactly from the era. Because I wanted to actually use the Media Center features just to see how terrible they were. But as I never actually ever used that, funny enough. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if something was off with the card or if I just never got around to doing it. It's been a while now. At some point, maybe if I care enough, I'll revisit it. It's an interesting system in the fact that it's a BTX format, and Lord help us, we'll never see that again. But it's not something that is repairable either. If you can't just put a normal ATX in it, and so we'll just nurse it along and use it till it dies and throw it away. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do with stuff nowadays, right? Um, we'll see if I do how many more videos I do this year. I'm trying to. I've been on hiatus for a while now. Haven't really felt like doing it. I'm kind of thinking of maybe just doing live streams. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of stuff to really talk about that 3 or 4 people might be interested in. I've been thinking about doing some stuff with Apples again because I don't know what else to really do with PCs. Now I could do Cyrix stuff. I do have a couple computers I might do videos on, Pentium era, but might build an MP6 system, base system too. That would be fun to do. I haven't outside of benchmarking those chips. I've never actually tried running them on a daily basis. The iDragon, but so anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Again, happy 2025, and we will see you again soon. All right, peace out, everybody.